Frank Reich. Boom! There goes another head coach in the NFL, fired. Oh man, this has become the ultimate you get hired to be fired business in the NFL. Wow, just wow. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the Panthers firing Frank Reich after just 11 games as head coach. In fact, the Panthers are also firing quarterbacks coach Josh McCown and running backs coach Deuce Staley. The Panthers have now named special teams coordinator Chris Tabor as the interim head coach, as there are 6 more games left to go in the 2023 NFL season. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. What is your reaction to the Panthers firing Frank Reich? Honestly, it's flat out stupid. And I understand that Frank Reich wasn't winning a lot of games when he was on the Carolina Panthers. Heck, he only won 1 game when he was on the Carolina Panthers. But to fire a head coach this quickly shows that the owner is extremely impatient. And knowing David Tepper, he is extremely impatient. That's part of the reason why the Carolina Panthers have been extreme losers in the last 6 years. When you look at the Carolina Panthers under the David Tepper era, they are 30-63, meaning that they have only won 30 games in a 6-year stretch while losing 63 games in a 6-year stretch. In other words, the team cannot even win 1/3 of their games. I remember David Tepper bought the team back in 2018, and he said that the Carolina Panthers were going to no longer be mired in mediocrity because that's what the Panthers were known for at the time. He claimed that mediocrity was a bad thing to have, and honestly, the Panthers did break the cycle of mediocrity. We're no longer a mediocre football team. Instead, we are now a trash can football team. When you look at the Carolina Panthers compared to 31 other teams in the NFL, it's no wonder why the Panthers are amongst the league's worst when it comes to win percentage. When you look at the Carolina Panthers, they haven't had any stability at the head coaching position whatsoever. They haven't had any stability at the quarterback position either. This man switches quarterbacks and coaches like it's toilet paper. When you look at the Carolina Panthers in 2018, they were coming off of 4 playoff appearances in a 5-year stretch. They had one of the best quarterbacks in football in Cam Newton. They also had a top-tier coach in Ron Rivera. Yes, I know Ron Rivera is not a good coach anymore, but in 2018, he was actually a pretty good head coach. He made the playoffs 4 times in his first 7 years as a head coach, and he had seemed to build some foundation of a culture in terms of wins and losses and being able to get players to Carolina. Unfortunately, David Tepper comes in and he ends up wrecking the whole thing up. He ends up chasing Cam Newton out of town. If you guys remember, he tried to lie about Cam Newton requesting a trade from the Carolina Panthers after the 2019 NFL season. Obviously, that never happened. Cam Newton has said on multiple occasions that the Panthers try to paint him in a bad light. Obviously, he doesn't have a problem with the community of the Carolina Panthers. He has a problem with the owner of the Carolina Panthers. I mean, you also look at the fact that he ran out Ron Rivera out of town in the middle of the 2019 NFL season, despite the fact that Ron Rivera was handcuffed with Kyle Allen at the quarterback position. He ran him out of town, citing that he did not want to see mediocrity at the head coach position any longer and that he was looking for sustained success under a different head coach. Well, I'll tell you this, David Tepper, you've suffered sustained success of losing. That's what you've done. You turned the keep pounding mantra into the keep sucking mantra. That's what the Carolina Panthers have become. The Carolina Panthers, when I was a kid, we were known for a team that was going to keep pounding. That was the mantra that was shouted across Bank of America Stadium. Nowadays, it feels like whenever you talk about the Carolina Panthers, the main motto for the Carolina Panthers is keep sucking. Find ways to lose games and find ways to mess up the head coach position and the quarterback position. You know why I'm not getting on Frank Reich getting fired after just 11 games? How can you possibly expect to evaluate a head coach just 11 games into his tenure? How can you possibly evaluate a head coach when you didn't even listen to his advice on who to take with the #1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft? Frank Reich tried to tell you that Stroud was going to be the much better quarterback in this draft class. He tried to warn people that Bryce Young was not a good enough quarterback in the NFL. I know that he's trying to keep a straight face when talking to the mainstream media and that there's rumors flying around that he didn't want Bryce Young. Well, I'll tell you this. I have sources inside the Panthers organization that told me that Frank Reich did not want Bryce Young with the #1 overall pick. He wanted Stroud to be taken ahead of Bryce Young. In fact, I'll even go as far as to say this. I was told that he would rather work with Anthony Richardson than he would with Bryce Young at the quarterback position, and that's what somebody from the Panthers organization told me. Somebody that has direct connections with the Panthers organization. I'm not going to reveal the source's name because he prefers to keep his name private, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that because you guys need to be aware about the kind of toxicity Frank Reich was working around with. I understand a lot of people don't like Frank Reich, and some of his play calling definitely does bother me for sure, but he is a symptom of the problem. He is not the main problem on the Carolina Panthers. So David Tepper, he decides, yeah, it's a great idea to go ahead and handcuff Frank Reich of the quarterback that he doesn't want, even though he already made it clear that he doesn't want to work with Bryce Young. But I'm going to go ahead, give up the farm to get him, and then draft him anyways. And then at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and penalize Frank Reich for not being able to work with Bryce Young at the quarterback position, even though he already told you he couldn't do that at the time. And then David Tepper wants to act surprised that Bryce Young is struggling on the Carolina Panthers. Panthers. Shoot, I could have told you Bryce Young was going to struggle when he went to the Carolina Panthers. You know why I thought he was going to struggle? Because you got to look at his size first and foremost. I know some people say size doesn't matter, and I think that some of it is overblown, but look, it's not the fact that Bryce Young is a short quarterback. I can deal with a short quarterback. It's the fact that he's a really skinny quarterback. I mean, holy cow, this is a dude that looks like he's my size playing quarterback. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't look like a professional quarterback out there. Well, that's the size that Bryce Young is under. He's 5'10", and I know he's listed at 204 pounds, but the dude looks like he weighs 180. The fact of the matter is, you can't put a franchise quarterback who is weighed that little. And I know somebody's going to say, oh, what about Kyler Murray? Isn't Kyler Murray a small quarterback too? But it's vastly different because Kyler Murray is a faster athlete. And why are we trying to find the next Kyler Murray anyways? Kyler Murray is not even that good of a quarterback anyways. Kyler Murray is a decent quarterback, but it's not like Kyler Murray is this elite quarterback in the National Football League that's carrying the Arizona Cardinals to win after win after win while competing for Super Bowls year in and year out. If you're drafting #1 overall, especially with the fact that you gave up DJ Moore and multiple picks to move up to do so, you need to select a guy that you know will be able to contend for Super Bowls year in and year out, or at least pick a guy that can elevate an entire franchise around his back. And there was a guy for the #1 overall spot at that position. That guy's name was CJ Stroud. And I said that to y'all on draft night. I said that to y'all during the pre-draft process. I said that CJ Stroud was going to be the best quarterback in this draft class and that he was the second coming of Joe Burrow. And a lot of people thought that, oh, why are you praising CJ Stroud so much? Why do you like him so much? What you got on CJ Stroud or something? Now I'm looking at these takes. I'm thinking I should have tripled down on CJ Stroud. I should have said that he was going to be the Steph Curry of the NFL in terms of how he would revolutionize how NFL teams would think about rookie quarterbacks, because that's how great CJ Stroud has been at the quarterback position for the Houston Texans. I'll even go as far as to say that the rookie award should be named after CJ Stroud. It should be called the CJ Stroud Trophy, because that's how great CJ Stroud has been as a rookie. And damn it, we should have had CJ Stroud on the Carolina Panthers. I know some people are going to say, oh, he wouldn't have been successful if he was on the Carolina Panthers. Look at the offensive line, look at the running backs, look at the receivers. And my response to that is, have you looked at the Houston Texans? The Houston Texans at one point earlier this year had 4 offensive linemen on injured reserve. Think about that. CJ Stroud was playing with an entire lineup of backups out there on the football field. And then you also look at the fact that he has Devin Singletary as his best running back. I don't know about you guys, but I don't consider Devin Singletary to be a star at the running back position. But then you look at the receivers that he has. He's clearly elevated Nico Collins. He's clearly elevated Noah Brown. He's clearly made Tank Dell look like a stud in the making, although I do think Tank Dell is a pretty underrated receiver. But the fact of the matter is, it's not like CJ Stroud is going to the Houston Texans where they're a loaded football team and that they were a quarterback away from winning. No, CJ Stroud is carrying the Houston Texans on his back, and I have high doubts that Bryce Young will ever be a better quarterback than CJ Stroud. I think Bryce Young is in a bad situation, but I also don't think it's unrealistic to say that he will never be a better quarterback than CJ Stroud. That's not a knock on Bryce Young. That's a knock on how great CJ Stroud is, because CJ Stroud is going to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time if he keeps this up. I love everything about CJ Stroud's game. He has zero weaknesses in this game whatsoever. Okay, maybe he holds onto the ball too long, but other than that, he's a fantastic quarterback, and I don't understand why the Carolina Panthers didn't take him with the #1 overall pick, considering the fact that Frank Reich already said that CJ Stroud was going to be the best quarterback in this draft class, allegedly. And I know for a fact that the quarterbacks coach Josh McCown said that CJ Stroud was going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. And guess what happened? David Tepper decided to go ahead and fire both of his assistants in Josh McCown and Deuce Staley, and to name Chris Tabor the interim head coach. Are you kidding me? For what? What is Chris Tabor going to prove to you in those 6 weeks where you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hire him as the full-time head coach? You didn't even do that for Steve Wilkes, where Steve Wilkes did an incredible job, got the Panthers to a 6-6 record under his watch, and said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and not retain Steve Wilkes. I'm not even going to try to bring him back as a defensive coordinator. I'm just going to go ahead and let Steve Wilkes walk. You know the amount of disrespect David Tepper just did right there? But honestly, I'm not surprised that David Tepper did that, because that's the kind of guy he is. Remember, he was the same guy that wanted Mike Tomlin fired back when he was a minority owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So David Tepper, he's not really a smart dude whatsoever. As far as what the Carolina Panthers didn't tell you about Frank Reich, what I'm here to tell you is that he never stood a chance on the Carolina Panthers. You can look at the win-loss record and say he's a crappy head coach, but I could also say to you, yeah, but he never really stood much of a chance to begin with, because he didn't get to work with the quarterback he wanted to. He didn't get say on personnel decisions. He had an owner that was constantly fighting with him game in and game out. He had an owner that wanted to meet up with him after every single game and wanted Frank Reich to play his style of football. And that's just not a way to build sustained success whatsoever, or any kind of foundation. And that's exactly why the Carolina Panthers are 1-10. They're 1-10 not because of Frank Reich, but because of David Tepper. David Tepper is the main problem on the Carolina Panthers. Frank Reich, whether he's the problem or not, that's not relevant to my mind. What's relevant to my mind is that David Tepper is the problem on the Carolina Panthers. That's what the Carolina Panthers weren't telling you about Frank Reich. They didn't tell you that Frank Reich was essentially used as a middleman, and he was used as the scapegoat for the Carolina Panthers. That's why he got fired after 11 games. It wasn't because Frank Reich was an awful head coach. It was because of the fact that David Tepper selected the wrong quarterback for Frank Reich to work with, and also because of the fact that Frank Reich wasn't really working with any talent on the Carolina Panthers whatsoever, mainly because of the fact that they traded away all of the good talent in the past year. So that's why the Panthers firing Frank Reich will not end up helping the Panthers become a successful franchise in the long term. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.